The endearing the most endearing part about the show is the fact that those are real people.
Yeah.
Those are your friends, those are your grandparents, those are your people in your town. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about is the legacy of Corner Gas, like the legacy of what you created and what you put out into the ether is it's wild how ingrained in like Canadian culture it is now. You talk to anybody in Canada and you mention Corner Gas, everybody knows what it is. Everybody's at least seen one episode, if not they're in love with the show. And they're in love with the show because they know those people. They grew up with those people. They currently engage with those people, whether at the bar, whether at, you know what I mean? Like what you created is it's perfect Canadiana. And is that the word? Canadian Anna?
Canadiana. I've never heard the part. That sounded highfalutin the way Canadiana.
Sure. Maybe I'm making up a word. I don't know. But it much the way I feel like, and I know a lot of people don't feel the same way. When I listen to the Tragically Hip, I never feel more Canadian than I do listening to the Tragically Hip. I also...
The episode when the Tragically Hip were on Corner Gas must have been... almost blew your head off.
Oh, it's like Euphoria.
It's too much Canada. Almost too much Canada.
It's way too much Canada.
Syrup dripping out of your TV speakers.
Yeah, oh my God, the amount of maple syrup that comes out of that episode is wild. Like when they're playing in your garage, that is hilarious. Like, you're kicking them out because you're so, oh my God, that is an iconic episode. And
that really came about with like in writing the thing, Brent saying, we were like, this would be a good opportunity to have a cameo if we had like a band already in there practicing. We said, well, we should try and get the Tragically Hip. Because that would be the funniest thing. Like of all the bands you could have in Brent's garage that he just referred to as local kids.
Yep.
Let's get the biggest band in the nation. And they were like, yeah, we'll do it.
That is odd. And I mean, honestly, like there's any number of Canadian bands you could have picked from, like Rush. That would have been another really good one.
Well, we kind of had our, sliding scale, and we started right at the top with the Tragically Hip, and that's as far as we had to go.
No, that's
they
great.
got on board.
Yeah, that is such an incredible cutaway gag in that. But yeah, I think truly that's why it, because I mean we're going on 18 years since it originally aired, and it hasn't gone anywhere because now
it's playing around I'm the new Gilligan. It's playing around the clock somewhere.
Gilligan.
And now with the Amazon Freevee channel in the States, it's like they started their own Corner Gas channel, right? So Amazon Freevee, you can stream Corner Gas on Amazon Freevee, but then Amazon said, let's make a Corner Gas channel. It's 24/7, anytime, morning, noon, and night. When you go to the fast channel, it's just Corner Gas.
Is that just in the States or in?
Yeah.
Okay, that's wild. So yeah, you just turn it, you flip it on, and it's just Corner Gas.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You don't know if you're going to get an original series or part of the movie or an animated episode, but it's going to be Corner Gas.
I love that.
Yeah,
Corner Gas and Corner. Do you have comfort shows that you throw on in the background as kind of like it's something that you've watched a million times and you just kind of I don't know, like just as kind of like almost like background noise because you know what's happening, you've watched it so many times that you can just throw it on and it just sits in the background. Do you have shows like that?
Not really. I don't think. I mean, there are probably shows that fall into that category, but it's not something that I do. Like if I don't look to have TV on in the background. I like to watch TV and like kind of get into it. So I would more likely just put on some. Like when I'm writing, I either just do white noise, like I do a lot of rainstorm kind of thing. I have this one track that I listen. It's like a rainy night in a big city.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of traffic and rain and low rumbling thunder, and that's what I have on when I write. Or sometimes I'll do like it's always instrumental, so never any words.
Yeah.
That's what I have on when I'm writing. And if I'm just going to have music on, if I'm going to have something on in the background while I'm doing something else that's not writing, then I would lean towards music as opposed to.
Fair enough.
But there's lots of shows that I just get comfort from, and that I'm a real sitcom baby, and I loved sitcoms, and I loved them all really. Varying degrees of sitcoms to me are like. I think I'm less snobby than some people with sitcoms because they're kind of pizza-ish to me.
They are.
Like the worst ones, I can still watch and enjoy on some level. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if they're bad enough, you can enjoy them on that level. If something is bad enough, that it becomes its own entertainment in that way. And then you run the gambit all the way up to the greatest, smartest sitcoms of all time. And so. Any sitcom that comes on, I could easily watch for a little while.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, no, I mean, and it's probably because I recently figured out that I have ADHD, so I think it's like a stimulating thing for me where I will watch the same things over and over and just kind of have like The Office I've had on in the background for probably
it gears you down.
Yeah, it's easy. It's not because I think the way it works is my brain is always. The motor's always running. And so in that instance, it's something to distract my brain where I don't have to think about it because I've watched it so many times.
Right.
And Corner Gas is one of those. I think my top 3 are The Office, Friends sometimes, and Corner Gas. It's nice. It's one of the shows that really helps
company.
me.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah. It's for sure. And so since the series started, I probably binge watched the series like at least twice a year since you started in like 18 years ago.
Nice.
And I'm not kidding. Like I love the show so much, and I quote it all the time. Like, and it's people don't always pick it up, but like there's one quote that I throw out all the time, where have you ever slept in a water resistant tent? You get pretty wet and that's like early Karen. Right. I think I can't remember, it's season 1 or 2. I think when she says that, if I remember correctly, but yeah, I quote the series all the time.
Because David's saved money to get bullet resistant.
Yes, that's what it is.
Bulletproof vest. Save some money and got bullet resistant.
Oh my God. The show is so iconic, and the structure, the way it's structured, and the throwaway or cutaway gags that you guys did, that some of them like, I don't know what obviously like they would have given you a decent budget, but some of those things like where you guys figured out how to put together some of those like Wanda on the Vespa. And you turn Dog River into like Italy essentially with that. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, we had an amazing crew. We had like from the cinematographer all the way across the whole gambit, just talented, smart people who knew what they were doing, and really resourceful because Saskatchewan, you're not downtown New York or Toronto or Vancouver, right? So you get, if you need something, sometimes you have to jerry rig it. And so like I would put our grips up against any team of marine engineers in, if you needed something built that would be functional and sturdy and be up in 18 minutes.
And safe.
Yeah. Our crew was across the board fantastic. And our art department was,
incredibly
right
creative.
There. Like a lot of people think that gas station was a gas station we found to shoot the show in. And it was built from scratch. It was just an empty
shell, essentially.
No, it didn't exist. It was just a field. And Hugh Shankland was our head of our art department. He designed the he designed the gas station, and it looked like it had been there for 70 years, and it just looked so real. And first season, before we had aired, so nobody knew there was this show, people would pull in all the time to the gas station while we were filming, because it just looks real. It just looks like a gas station.
It's wild. It does look real. And in the off season, it's like when you go, like when I visited it, it was all boarded up, and they had like the painted wood on the outside so you couldn't see in. But I had always wondered how some of that was done in terms of like, because I know you did obviously studio stuff, and a lot of it was done in Rollo. For sure.
The Tragically Hip scene is done in both places. That's one of the nice movie magic. So when you see the Tragically Hip in my garage, that's in the studio. And when you see Wanda and Hank and Brent standing outside the garage, that's in Rollo. And we cut them together. And then when we shot in studio, we had Brent and Wanda and Hank walk into the garage. So it all ties together. But yeah, there was, that kind of movie magic is fun to do.
See, and this is the shit that I love, because it's like I've worked on a bunch of sets, and I have loved movie making since I was a little kid, and TV shows and stuff like that, and seeing how some of that stuff is put together and made is just so fascinating, and it's so fun to be a part of. And Fred was actually the one that told me that the gas station was actually they actually built the gas station inside the set in Rollo, which I thought all of the stuff in the gas station, I thought it was all done in the studio, and it was just green screen out the windows towards the empty field, but I guess not. No. Well, in the movie you did some stuff was in the studio, correct?
Not gas station.
Gas station was
all out there, yeah. And then and we had two versions of the Ruby, one out in Rollo and one in the studio for the interior. So we were able to, if we needed to, we could shoot Ruby scenes out in Rollo, but we did it very rarely.
Okay.
Because it was, but yeah, there were kind of two sets of the Ruby. But 99% of what you see in the Ruby is shot in studio in Regina.
Now, okay. So if
there were ever ones where you had to look out the window, like in the very first episode, there's that scene where, and I was adamant that we couldn't make a cut in this. I wanted this to be all one tracking shot, where, if you remember, Hank is boycotting the Ruby because of the pink walls and stuff.
Yeah.
And so Lacey and Brent are at a table, and he's out the front picketing.
Yeah. And
she's commiserates. She doesn't know how to make him stop, and she's sad that she hurt his feelings and everything. And Brent says, well, listen, I've known him a long time. If you give me a minute, I think I can talk some sense into him.
Yeah.
And Brent gets up and walks out, and you see him go outside. Hank's at the window, and Brent walks over to him, slaps him in the head, knocks his hat off, takes his sign, snaps it, and then comes back. In the other way around, he breaks the sign first, and then slaps Hank in the head, and then walks back in and sits down. So I wanted that to all be one shot, no cuts.
Yeah.
And so in that instance, it was like, okay, well then we have to shoot that scene in the Rollo Ruby set, because we're dealing out the window. So anytime there was specific stuff where it had to be outside world, inside world, through the windows without production cuts, we had the option of going out and doing that.
Okay, that's really interesting, because I love that scene, because it's very it's almost Looney Tune-ish. Like, it's very reminiscent of almost, you know what I mean? And it's brilliant, and it's good that you got your way on that, because it works so well. Just that whole let me handle it, and literally, because is she looking out the window, or is she just kind of I can't remember if she's not.
Yeah, she looks out the window and sees it, and to me, it's one of those. It's the first sense of Brent doing something for Lacey and Lacey appreciating it. And to me, it seems like the very first spark of, could there be something between these two people? I mean, clearly he thinks she's a bit of a dish from the get-go. And that's, it's understandable, but it's that first moment when he does that for her.
Yeah.
that I think she sort of gets on board the notion of, I like this guy.
Yeah, because Brent's a catch.
Not only is he a dreamboat,